Afternoon, everyone. I know the caffeine is slowly waning, but just stay with me for a few minutes. In my talk this afternoon, I thought I would cover editorial challenges around AI. I'm sure many of you have got questions around sort of what publishers are experiencing. I'm hopefully going to lift the lid on it. I, of course, can't go into lots of detail with the time restraints, but if it at least sparks a bit of discussion, I'm happy to discuss and chat it through afterwards. So these are the kind of primary points that I'll cover off. So first and foremost, ensuring our policies are fit for purpose. Many of you will have seen the recent surveys that publishers have done. A number of us have done them, including IOP, to try and gauge the views of researchers at this point in time as to what is a responsible use of AI, not so much like how is it actually being used day to day and on the ground, because it is incredibly important for us to balance, supporting our communities, but ensuring that, the authors are sufficiently advised on the appropriate uses of AI, as well as absolutely assuring above all else that the content we publish is accurate and trustworthy. So this is something that we're particularly mindful of, and we want to continue to engage with our communities and spend the time conducting those surveys, etc. The second primary point, detection of irresponsible use of AI. I know a number of publishers will feel the same way in terms of what I'm about to say. We currently predominantly detect it through quality concerns. We have to accept that authors are going to use it. There are so many responsible ways to use it, and it is absolutely helping ensure we advance science. So we need to support that. But unfortunately, there are some that are using it in irresponsible ways. And it is primarily quality that, we assess and detect. I think the next challenge for publishers, and this may certainly spark the debate, many of you will have heard of that term AI slop. The issue that we have is that as researchers, authors continuously learn how to use the tools, they progress in their quality, and that the outputs improve, etc. But the issue is a number of publishers, we want to ensure that our journals are a home for research that maybe only incrementally advances science, that is a home for research by spans from early career researchers right through to fully fledged professors. But the issue is with those kind of titles, as the quality increases, are we going to reach this very delicate threshold of content that doesn't, we can see that it is AI generated. Do we really feel comfortable with it? But it meets journal, quality thresholds, etc. So I think that's the next thing we're going to really face, and I think that is coming quite soon. As I say, a little bit controversial, but happy to discuss. Next point, technology to stay ahead of the large-scale networks targeting publishers. Again, that's a bit of a buzz term, large-scale networks. What that is referring to are systematic attempts to undermine our checks and balances. So that that sort of ranges from paper mills to, say, author citation rings, where you rotate positions of authorship. So if you don't feature as an author as part of a group, say you're looking at a single paper, you won't be cited, but your other members of the group are. Rinse and repeat, rotate, it goes undetected, and it's a way to undermine checks and balances. So because this is happening at scale, I know that sounds particularly scary. To give you a statistic, at IOP, we rejected, so 7% of our content was rejected on ethical grounds last year. That certainly doesn't suggest that it's rare anymore. It's uncommon for there to be ethical issues in manuscripts that warrant rejecting, especially when we're considering AI and large-scale networks. But 7% is actually really quite high. To be able to effectively tackle this large-scale problem, we need to scale it up by utilising technology. Developing accurate and robust tools powered by AI to detect research integrity concerns. Some of the concerns that can crop up are incredibly complex, and whilst the tools are developing, they're coming on leaps and bounds. If they don't work to a high degree of accuracy, or if we're seeing false positives, false negatives, then that is really quite problematic. But in the last year, I think there's been real progress. And finally, success is only achievable with cross-stakeholder collaboration. I think that came through loud and clear with the first session that Leslie gave. That's certainly something that we as publishers really want to emphasize. We need to come together to kind of tackle these issues effectively. And we absolutely welcome, further discussions around this so that we can work out next steps, really. And yeah, thanks so much for listening.